for his first public presentation of his new memoir, My First Coup d'etat, and the book is Mahama's first publication and takes an inside look at his experience growing up in the period he terms Africa's lost decade. From the 1960s to the 1980s, Africa suffered numerous coups, saw the rise of murderous and corrupt dictators, and weathered economic turmoil.
And it became a cycle of coup d'etats and military governments and all that. So from about the late 60s until sometime in the 80s, it's a period I describe as a lost decade. Because this was a time of coup d'etats all across Africa. Military governments came into power, and there was a general economic deterioration in Africa. People lost all hope. There were droughts, the economies were contracting instead of growing, and there was general hardship for everybody. And so this is the period, in which I grew up, and it's the period that is well documented in this book.
Mahama began the evening reading an excerpt from the book that detailed his memories of when Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, was overthrown in a coup in 1966.
It happened on February 24, 1966. I was 7 years old, a class 2 pupil in the primary division of Achimota, an elite boarding school in Accra, Ghana's capital. That day there was a lot of commotion. Teachers rushed about in a noticeably scattered fashion and huddled in corners whispering. It did not take long for the news to spread. First through the upper school student body, then down to us, the younger pupils. The words I heard people speaking that day seemed to hold a certain air of mystery. To my child's ear, the phrase sounded exciting, like a game that all the upper form students would soon be playing. And from the moment I first heard it, coup d'etat. I wish I could learn how to play this new game as well. At Achimota, we heard that all the ministers of state had been arrested. This particular bit of information gave me pause, because my father was a minister of state. Even so, I don't think I was fully able to absorb all the implications. No, not then. Perhaps it was because I had not received word from my family that anything was wrong. Or it might have been because I felt, as children so often do, that my family and I were somehow shielded automatically, exempt from anything tragic. The coup d'etat became real to me, an event that constituted more than just words, in early April, when my school vacated for the Easter holidays, and nobody came to pick me up. I watched as all the other children left with their relations. Room after room of each dormitory was emptied of its occupants, until mine were the only footsteps in the halls, and still no one came. Thank you.
Vice President Mahama, whose National Democratic Party is standing for re-election this coming December, along with current President John Evans Atta Mills, talked about how Ghana has emerged from the lost decades and is experiencing a renaissance.
Of the 10 top performing economies, 6 were African, and including my country, Ghana. Ghana was the top performer with the highest GDP growth in the world of 14%.
After a Q&A session with the audience, Vice President Mahama hosted a book signing and interacted with members of the Ghanaian community in Harlem. Mahama, who grew up with 18 siblings in northern Ghana, was joined on stage with several of his siblings who he features endearingly in his memoir. But he acknowledged that after his book writing, the Ghanaian campaign trail is calling.
This will be our 6th election. It's going to be successful. Ghana is held up as a model of democracy in Africa, and all of us are proud of it. Notwithstanding which side of the political divide you are. And I think that we all have a commitment to continue to maintain that accolade. And so we'll have a successful election, and Ghana will continue to be the pride of Africa. Thank you. But I believe that I have to get this over with and hit the campaign.
Well, Ghana's opposition boycotts presidential, and yet Ghana's John Mahama has been sworn in as president, pledging to focus on development and to unite the country.
That I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
And allegiance to the Republic of Ghana as by law established.
Ghana's John Mahama is sworn in as president, pledging to focus on development and to unite the country. Despite an opposition boycott over last month's disputed election, several African heads of state attended the inauguration. While thousands of supporters showed their enthusiasm, Mahama's rival, Nana Akufo-Addo, has accused the new president of rigging the tightly fought poll. However, international observers gave the election a clean bill of health, despite some technical problems.